Hello, everybody. It's actually like really legitimately cold out here, but the lighting was good out here, so I'm trying outside for this video. When I get my ring light and everything set up, it'll be better. We can stay inside. Or maybe we can replace that window, and then we won't have cold air coming in. So I want to kind of have a regular guest here every probably either bi-weekly or once a month, and just kind of chat marriage and things about marriage and things that we've learned about having a healthy marriage and things we're still learning about having a healthy marriage.
Am I your regular guest?
Yeah, you're my regular guest.
Great. So thrilled.
Today, we're going to talk about something that comes up often in our marriage, and when your spouse didn't do the dishes and other annoying things in marriage.
She wouldn't pick on anything that she does. It has to be something that I do.
You asked me what the topic was going to be, so next time you can choose the topic, and then we can do that. Well, we can talk about, the point is, for this one is annoying habits on both ends, and the purpose of this video is just to kind of like chat through. We obviously don't have the perfect marriage, but we've also figured out ways to communicate and ways to engage with each other to keep us from growing embittered. Because I think that's the most important thing, is that all these little things that are minor, I mean, really in the grand scale of things, these are really minor things, like not doing the dishes or fill in the blank here. You want to share something that I do that annoys you?
No.
Okay, are we still live? Hold on, let me set this. Okay,
It says we're still live.
let me set it on Do Not Disturb so that doesn't happen again. Okay, because I think it like freezes things. Okay, but yeah, how in the grand scheme of things, they're small, but they're, unfortunately for a lot of couples, all those little things like build up, and suddenly, you know, people are talking about divorce because of all these little things.
I've got one.
Okay.
Got one. This is one that I was thinking about earlier. Leaving the cloth diapers in the toilet.
Yeah, that was an accident.
It's still there.
But it's still there. To clean it. Yeah, I have to put that away. Yeah, so things like that. Okay, so then how do we handle these things? Like,
We always talk. I mean, that's the thing. We don't just let things fester.
that's super important.
Yeah.
Like, even, and I think we know, if we're coming to each other, if there's a really fine balance between not waiting to talk to them and tell them what's irritating you, but also, oh look, mom's on, hi mom, not waiting to tell them what's irritating you, but also being aware that when you're in that moment and you're in the midst of the irritation, being aware of the way that you're coming across and you're communicating.
Well, the truth is, sometimes it's going to lead to a fight. That's just kind of the way it is. You need to be willing to fight your way through marriage. I think that's just kind of part of it. Fighting is a part of being married, and just because you fight doesn't mean you love each other any less or anything like that. You know, we fight really well.
Yeah, we fight healthy. I was actually thinking that would be a good for another day to just talk about things that we've learned that are ways to fight healthy, fight fair, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, like, we fight, but at the end of the day, our fights are never, they don't accumulate. They don't like stack on top of one another and grow. We fight and we settle things, and it's over and it's past, and we move on, and it keeps things from building.
Yeah.
But with these small irritations and things, like you said, sometimes it does turn into a fight. But even, I guess, so if it doesn't turn into a fight, I think that sometimes, like, for example, with not doing the dishes, because that's what I put up here, we had this conversation the other night.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it was a fight. It was a discussion, and it was, you know, because it was a frustration, and I, came to Ryan and was like, I'm frustrated that you didn't do the dishes like you said you would, or you're complaining. It was actually, he was complaining about doing the dishes that he promised that he would do. And I had to watch my language. I had to make sure that I was honestly trying to communicate my frustration and what I was feeling rather than, reprimanding him. Or do you feel like I did an okay job of that? I'm not perfect.
I probably would have classified it more as a fight. I think that we definitely. There were a few times that we were having the discussion and we kind of had to walk away for a minute and then come back and then walk away and then come back.
That's true. But you always come back.
Yeah, you always.
That's one of the things. You have to always come back. Yeah. After, but.
And if something's bothering you, I mean, because we've had this before where she and I will get into an argument about something like me complaining about doing the dishes or something that she's done, and we'll have a fight about it, and then like for me the fight's over, and then like I get a call or a text from her later. It's like I still want to talk about this, and I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? I don't even remember. I don't even know what's going on.
That's true, because it like replays in my head.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's good that you're just like, you're not, again, for me the fight's over, so I'm not even thinking about it, and for her it's like, well, this is still replaying, this is still something that's bothering me, so I want to go back to him and I want to hash this out before this turns into something that just kind of adds to my frustration with my husband.
I think you're moving into talking about fighting instead of just talking about irritations.
Well, I feel like irritation and fighting are kind of the same thing.
It's not.
See, we're going to fight on camera, too. That's going to be great.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, back to irritations. Made me lose my whole... You took it and you took it down a whole other path.
Maybe I did that on purpose. Maybe I'm trying to irritate you on camera so that the world can see what's going on.
Okay. So, if you're in my position... what can we leave them with? Because I feel like we've just blabbered about, and there's like hardly anything of substance in all of that.
I thought that it was good. What I had to say was good. No, I mean, irritation needs to be verbalized. But it needs to be verbalized in a healthy way. It can't be childish. It can't be accusatory. I think it needs to be very much something like, this is how I feel when you come to your spouse. Yeah. When I come to her, I try very hard not to be like, you did this, or
that's what I was trying to say.
You are.
Yeah.
It's very much just like, this is how I feel, or how I perceive what you did.
Yeah.
And and then that opens the channel for dialogue, because it's like, okay, this is how I felt when you said this. And she can come back and say, well, that's not what I meant. And then after a while...
that was not my intent.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And you have to be willing to, in that moment, to trust your spouse. I think that's really important, is we can't come back and say, no, that's not what you... Or like, no, you did mean to do that. You did intend to hurt me. You did intend, like... If your spouse comes to you and says... I didn't mean for it to come off that way, then this is where, as a couple, you trust each other and you say, okay, I trust that you didn't mean for it to come off that way. And vice versa, if you're the person coming and saying, this is the way that it made me feel, you don't, as a spouse, get to say, well, no, you're not supposed to feel that way. You have to take ownership of what you did, the way that it came across, or the way that it affected your spouse.
Well, and honestly, if she comes to me and says, this is how I felt the way you said something, and I did mean it that way, I'll tell her. I'll tell her, it's like, yeah, okay, that is what I meant. And
then we work through that.
And then we work through that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just, that's kind of how irritation goes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you live with somebody for years, 24/7, even the little things are going to get to you after a while.
It's true. Like your face.
Do you really want me to get out your stinky laundry on camera?
No. Alright, well, thank you for bearing with us. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more efficient at these. I'll just put in the description for anybody watching the replay that, like, the meat of the content is 3 3/4 of the way through.
No, the meat of the content is when I'm talking.
Yeah. Right. Thanks for joining.